Alright, I'm back. Let me just sit up a little bit here. Get the music and all that. So, while we're setting up here, if y'all could pick for what Genshin Impact would first collab with, because they're probably going to collab with something. Hey Zerp, thank you for the 6-month resub. But if you could pick what Genshin would collab with, what would you want to see? KFC. Yeah, there you go. You know what's dumb is that's not even that crazy, right? Just because how KFC has been. Blaze Blue, I'd be on board with that. Get me like Hakumen and Hazuma in Genshin Impact. I'd be so down for that. I don't think they would collab with themselves because they're not FGO, right? You know, FGO collabs with themselves all the time, which sounds like a masturbation joke, but you know, most games don't do that because it's kind of a dumb thing to do. You're not collabing when you just add your own shit. Like, that's not what collab means. KFC with Genshin actually happened? Oh god. I'm guessing that's an IRL thing though. Like promo code. Bloodstained? You know, I've only played the 2D one, like the really retro one that they made, but it did seem like a pretty cool universe. I wouldn't hate that. Alright, let's see if I have to actually bring up the game. That would help. There's my Armored Core wallpaper, which is awesome. But yeah, I wouldn't mind Fate either, of course. I'd be down for that. The only thing that would kind of suck about if they collabed with Fate is they would probably be really boring with whatever they added. Frame rate's a little better, but it still doesn't feel right. It is better though. I hate when you're trying to like troubleshoot stuff and at all of the enemies, it's always the flower fucks. And if you try to just kill them real quick, they just, you know, start going underground all the time. And it's like, really? But yeah, you're not gonna get something cool like Kojiro or Canis or anything like that in here. You're gonna get like Artoria and Emiya, right? Like that's what you're gonna get. And you know, well, most people like those characters, so they'd be happy. But it's not. I wouldn't really care to use either of those unless they just had awesome movesets, I guess. I'd be pretty down for Blaze Blue though. I really like the Blaze Blue universe, and I think that would be pretty compatible over here. So I'd be all right. Yeah, Kojiro would be fucking awesome. I'm not normally big into the weeb characters, but he's just awesome. I love his personality, and his voice actor is good, and he's got really cool abilities and everything. I mean, of course, I'd be happy if they added Ku, but that seems a lot less likely than them. I mean, Ku is super popular, but he's not like he's seriously unbelievably popular, but he's not like the face of the franchise. He's not a mascot, right? And they normally add, you know, stuff like, you know, Artoria, right? Yeah, I could see Hawk. They would give Hawkman a counter, obviously. Yeah, Child and Kojiro would get along. Dude, Rainbow Six is gonna be in Arknights. I think that works so really well though, because Arknights is like all these like, you know, modern people. There's guns and everything, and it's the gameplay is trying to be all tactical and stuff and defensive, which that's literally how Rainbow Six Siege is. You have like the defense side, and like they have a lot of overlap. They have an insane amount of overlap. Obviously, Rainbow Six Siege is more serious, right? Where Arknights is more anime, you know, very anime. But that's what makes it fun, right? So I actually love that collab, and that's actually a collab that me and Cairo thought of when Arknights first came out. We're like, oh, it'd be really awesome if they would collab with Rainbow Six. That'd be cool, right? And you get to, you know, style on all this anime nonsense with, you know, all the Rainbow Six shenanigans. So I'd be super down for it, to be honest. But yeah, that's actually happening, so. Alright, let me smack these guys. But the Genshin's going to collab with stuff, and unlike FGO, they're going to collab with things that aren't themselves. I think they already hinted at it a little bit. So I'm actually pretty excited what it could be. But who knows, it could be fucking One Piece, for God's sakes, right? I'm not going to be too happy about that. I mean, I'll be mad. People like One Piece, good for them, but... I don't even know any of the characters. I know there's a guy with a straw hat. You know, that's pretty much all I know about One Piece. And I don't really like the art style. It's the bigger takeaway.
Leave it all to me.
And I think there was a guy with like a cannon in his mouth. Or something. I don't know, what else is big? Because they normally collab with IPs that are like... You know, like new anime or with other games. Right? That's generally what you see. It's not really the art quality. I actually think the art quality for, you know, a shonen is decent. It's just the aesthetic isn't really my... Like the really long arms, thin... You know, everyone has like really thin ligaments. That's like a big part of their art style. You know, I don't really dig that. Nothing wrong with it, right? And it's just not my shtick. And I just don't like shonen very much because shonen a lot of times is just really shallow. And I feel like most shonen will have at least some degree of good character development for like the first couple of arcs, and then they run out of stuff to do. Or the stuff that they have to do, they don't want to burn up yet. They're like, oh, we don't want to finish this character's development because then what are we going to do with them next? Because we want another 80 arcs. And that just kind of kills it. Now there's exceptions. I've seen shonen that do better with that kind of stuff, but I just find shonen anime a lot of times, or manga even, are just really... just shallow. That's the best way of putting it. They're just really shallow, and it's hard for me to enjoy that stuff. So I have not watched loads of Hunter x Hunter, but I've watched some of it, and I do like it. I don't like... The issue I have with it is none of the protagonists are like... I don't really hype any of the protagonists that much. They're alright. I don't mind them, but that's pretty normal for me. I don't normally like the protagonists in anime much. But, you know, it does a better job with, like, character development and stuff than a lot, so it's alright. I like the clown. And I liked... another thing that writer did before, Yu Yu Hakusho, that's a pretty good shonen, too, where they did a pretty good job with character development and stuff. It still definitely has its, you know, shallowness and power creep and, you know, that kind of thing. But it was pretty good, I think. I don't know why I'm using Vito so much right now. I mean, Vito's fun and everything, but I'm doing lightning stuff. Yeah, I don't have any, like, tangible critique of One Piece because I don't know anything about it. Well, I know a few things. I know there's something in the universe called the One Piece that everyone wants, but then the writer forgot about and they never get to at all, and it's just like a MacGuffin or whatever, right? I know that because that's like a meme. But yeah, I don't know shit about it. I couldn't tell you. I don't know anything about the character development or if, like, the antagonists are interesting or, you know, I have no idea. Jelly donuts, yep. Good old Pokemon. I'll probably play Arknights again at some point. I really enjoy Arknights. I rarely enjoy streaming it though, because it always brings in the backseaters and that kind of thing, so. This is something I've really struggled with, and I need to find a better way of... Okay, here's the thing. I'm in a very annoying situation as a streamer because... Okay, I'm a smaller streamer. That's fine. I'm actually happy with that. I don't want to be a giant streamer. I think that would be fucking awful. But, so let's say you're a really big streamer, right? And then you go play Armored Core randomly. Or, you know, if you're a really big streamer and you play like a random game like that, your normal audience will outweigh the like hardcore, you know, cult following audience that will see you that you're playing that game. and they're going to completely drown out and shut down, you know, backseating and people trying to show off and bullshit like that, right? And if you're a super tiny streamer, most people won't notice that you're streaming, you know, whatever cult game or whatever, you know, niche game you're playing, or even popular game, and you probably won't have a lot of like those people that come to your stream anyway. I'm at this stream size where I'm big enough that if I play like Monster Hunter World, people that are really into Monster Hunter World are gonna watch me, and then they're gonna try to show off and backseat and blah 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 blah, right? But I'm not big enough that my own audience will drown that out, right? And it sucks. I play loads of video games that aren't FGO, right? I stream almost none of them because every time that I do, it's miserable, right? And I don't want to stream if I'm not enjoying it, right? Because that doesn't translate to a good stream. If I'm annoyed or frustrated, like obviously I play that stuff up on stream sometimes where I'm actually like annoyed or frustrated. That doesn't make a good stream, right? It's bad. So I generally just don't. I just opt to not stream that stuff at all. It really sucks. I actually really hate that because I'd like to stream more stuff because I love hanging out with like my regulars, and you know, like when we play, you know, XCOM, right? And Zerp gets shot in the head, right? You know, it's a good time. But yeah, if I play Arc Knights, a lot of the Arc Knights people, you know, that are, you know, just trying to be that guy will always come into my stream, and it bugs the shit out of me. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I need to just, you know, take some time and put some effort into getting, you know, mods that can, you know, really keep track of these things. And you got to make sure in this, the hard part is you have to take a lot of time to get on the same wavelengths as your mods, so they know what they need to crack down on and what they shouldn't, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I so avoid streaming random games because of that. But that's a thing in all streams. There's always a group of people that like, they're watching you, not because of you, but because whatever game you're playing. Now, as a streamer, you want to take advantage of that if you're trying to make a business, right? And you want to like be successful. You basically try to play other games so you absorb more viewers, right? Like let's say you randomly play Monster Hunter World when it first comes out, right? Some people will watch you because you're playing Monster Hunter World, right? And they want to see that game because it's new, or they like the game or whatever. And then they happen to be like, oh, I also like this guy. He's funny, or he's insightful, or whatever the fuck. And so they keep watching you, right? So that's why it's wise to stream other games. But yeah, it can be really obnoxious, so. I would never, it's got nothing to do, it has nothing to do with how you run a big stream. There's nothing to do with it. That's not remotely applicable. It's like, you know, if someone's behaving a certain way, you know, do you want that to be timed out or not? Or do you want it to be deleted or not? Or like, you know, it's those kinds of things. Okay, what do I need to do here? I guess I'll do the main story. I keep forgetting that there is main story for me to do. Although I'm not sure this is technically main story. I don't even know. This is like that dude from the trailer. I remember you meet him in a bar and he tells you, I don't even remember why, but he tells you to meet him out here. So I did that like a week ago. Oh yeah, you can D-Luke ult to murder all the pigeons and get a lot of meat that way.
This abandoned temple does bear some marks of the abyss. The falcon of the west. Though it can soar in the wind, it ultimately does naught but hover under the light of the gods.
I heard there's new abyss enemies getting added soon. That's exciting.
Oh, it's nothing. Let's head inside.
Guys, is this guy a Chune? Like, even if the story is not trying to present him as one, I feel like anyone that dresses that way is probably a Chune. So, whatever they want, is this what the, why is it level 28? Surely no one would unlock this thing and be at level 28. This is pretty far into the game at this point. You want me to bring Ice? Wait, why is she on the team?
Oh, how exciting!
Ready when you are.
Fucking main character, man. His mom bought him the costume. Then I question her taste. Is he related to Fish? Because that would I don't think he is, but that would definitely explain his fashion. Level 28, dude's level 89.
Let's head further in first.
The recommended level was 28. This dude's level 89.
Spare me the explanation either way.
Okay, game. By the way, this is like the most satisfying thing. Come on, guy, come over here. No, don't put the rock down. What the fuck? Get over here. At least he lived. I was not expecting them to give me loot from doing this, but I will take it. So I really wish Genshin would put a bit more effort into just giving you things to play around with. Like, you can pick up a rock, or like, you know, items that lure enemies to a location, kind of like the taunt on what's her name, Amber's doll, although, you know, it's not exactly reliable. Just more like ways to interact with enemies just for fun, and like, you know, tying enemies to a, you know, a post or whatever, right? Just more ways to goof off with the game mechanics, right? That's always really fun in open world games, so more of that. I feel like because they're trying to make it kind of MMO-ish, you know, online stuff, they're afraid of people breaking the game. But you in a game like this, you should never be afraid of the players breaking the game, because breaking the game is hilarious, right? It's mostly a single player game. Like, for example, in the new Snow Zone, right? This place, you got that mountain in the middle that you're not supposed to be able to get into unless you do a bunch of bullshit, you know, around the island to get rid of like the barrier, right? And it's set up in a way that even if you find like a way around the barrier, there's like an invisible wall and you can't get in. Fuck, that's stupid. Don't do that, right? If people can find some crazy way where they, like, you know, slingshot off of a catapult or whatever and they get in there, that's fine, right? That's really good for open world games. Like, you know, trust your player base enough to allow them to, you know, break the game to a certain degree. Obviously, there's limits to this, but, you know, giving players more tools to just have fun in their sandbox, you know, that you should be looking to add that. You know, obviously the game's new and, you know, they can improve it as time goes on. I just hope they do. You know, I want them to actually think about how can we allow people to have more, you know, fun with, you know, messing around in the world and whatnot. Hey, let me test out, is there any fire in here? Yeah, here we go. Fuck, it's gone. Shit. Here, well, that guy hit me, but I wanted to see if you get in fire and it goes off.
Steady as stone.
Alright, let's try to get all these guys up and the fucking ranged guy's gonna run it. He's gonna be that guy. You know what? I'm gonna kill him so he can't fuck it up. Nerd. There's another one. No! God damn it. Okay, now they're just making everything shit here. Now I'm like gonna die. Stupid archers, man. Alright, let me set this on fire. Why this no burn? I guess this will burn? Alright, proper use of an ult.
Retribution.
Yep, that works. That's pretty interesting. I guess you could stand in this thing too. Yep. I haven't done it yet, but I'm seriously gonna make an Amber setup where she's all about making the doll do a lot of damage. Like, never mind being practical, never mind her, like, total DPS. I'm just gonna make the doll do the most damage possible. That's what right there, I love doing that. Like, the way she can cancel her attacks there, that's super fun. Spin! Look at all that healing. So a good example is these, though. These are like an attempt at like giving you something fun to fuck around with. Like, more stuff like that, though. that has basically more physics-based stuff. I think that's what you can have a lot of fun. And back to what I was saying about them being afraid of you breaking the game. When enemies get too far from their spawn, they just reset and get full health back. They don't just, it'd be one thing if they just reset, but they get their fucking health back. Like, but what if they cheese them? What if they kite them and get them low in health, and then they reset, and then they kite them again? Like, it's fine. Who cares, right? Like it's a fucking trash mob. Like, Jesus. It's one thing if you want to make sure, like, the final boss, you know, you can't do shit like that with it. But, you know, an Abyss Mage, you know, in the world, who cares, right? So, yeah, more physics-based stuff. Don't have mobs reset just because they slightly get, you know, off their spawn. Like, I cannot be the only one. You knock a guy off a cliff, which should be satisfying in a video game. But in Genshin, you're like, oh god, he's probably going to reset and heal the full and blah, 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 right? You don't want that, right? You want people to have fun and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to kite this guy over here and, you know, use this person's ability that, like, makes them super heavy and then knock them into the ocean, right? You do shit like that. That's fun. What is even going on in this room right now? This was like the tutorial level, wasn't it? But they have, like, this game has so much potential. And so far they've done fine. You know, I'm not hating on them. I'm enjoying Genshin Impact just fine. But, like, they have these instance dungeons, right? You can do so much with these, right? You can be completely on par with, like, the dungeons and puzzles and stuff you would see in a normal single-player game. Like, of course you can. You can have all kinds of fun with this. And if you want to make dungeons that are designed for co-op, you know, you can have wacky puzzles like you see in Portal 2 or something, right? This game can support that kind of stuff. And so, more the merrier, you know, why not have fun with these systems and stuff? You know, obviously don't force people to do the co-op stuff if they don't want to, but, you know, having an optional stuff like that is totally fine. Especially because they do have, like, fun elemental interactions like this, right? That's a good system. So, being able to have even more fun with that, you know, combine physics-based things and whatnot, I think that'd be really good. Like how I'm not really paying attention and I'm getting, like, destroyed right now.
Retribution!
Oh man, he's gonna run into the fire, but he already procced it. You know, I wish there was an easy way to have, like, Diluc, or I mean anyone, you know, set an enemy on fire and then switch to Child and do his melee ult. But it's hard to do that because if you switch to melee stance to do it, you'll make them wet and you'll use up Vaporize or whatever.
Seems like that herald might have already left. The Abyss. It is chaos, and it is also destruction. It is a morass of inconceivable madness that encroaches upon this world's very foundations. That is why even the Dragon of the East, a servant of a deity, was unable to resist its corrosive powers.
That sounds a lot like social media.
And the creatures of the Abyss desire nothing less than the overthrow of a world ruled by the Archons.
You seem to know a lot about the Abyss, Dane.
Well, we do have some history. I suppose that's as far as chit-chat goes. We should head to Wolvendom.
How is Diluc not in this mission? Because you meet in Diluc's bar, right? Everything's set in Mondstadt, and Diluc is, like, obsessed with wrecking the Abyss Order. I don't understand how Diluc is not involved in this right now.
Judging by the traces I'm following, their next appearance may be within the territory of that old wolf. Perhaps we may find our Abyss Herald there.
So I'm guessing Razor uses those wolf hooks. I don't have Razor, so I don't know, but I've never found a use for those things. It's like the only thing that's the only thing I can think of is he would probably need those. That must be nice though, because fucking, like, Barbara is like, yeah, I need 1,000,000 mushrooms from houses, right? That's fun to get. Where it is really easy to get wolf hooks, right? You just go to the wolf boss and grab all of the ones there because there's so many, right? You do that every day or whatever, and you'll get whatever you need in no time. Wait, I have Razor? What? Oh, I do have Razor. How about that? Yeah, he needs them, all right. You see, obviously I don't have enough to go all the way up, but I've got enough I could get fairly far, and if I wanted to start working on getting these, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Boy, though, I am not set up to level him in the slightest because I used all of this stuff on Bido, and I have barely touched any lightning-based bosses since getting Bido to 90, so... The only other character I actually care about getting to 90 is Child, and that's just because Child's awesome. I mean, gameplay-wise, he doesn't need it. I think I have... I might have enough of these where I could upgrade into these and make it. I'm not sure, though. I'd be close. Hey, fish. The worst mats, though, that I've seen like that are... What are they called? I forget. What was it? Violet grass? Yeah, these seem pretty horrid. Because, yeah, you need a lot, and they're really just not that easy to find. And the mushrooms for Barber are kind of annoying just because they're not hard to find, it's just kind of obnoxious to collect them, right? Like, you have to climb a lot of stuff to get them. I've never really cared about leveling Barber, though, so I haven't had to deal with it much, but most of those mats aren't too bad, though. Yeah, violet grass sucks. I mean, I know where you get them. It's just the amount that you can get, and like you can have like really big mountainsides that just don't have any for no reason. And then if one mountain does have them, it's totally arbitrary where it's placed on the mountain, and you can't see the entirety of the mountain at all times. So it's just kind of annoying to collect, you know, like 170 of them or whatever the hell. Well, I still don't get why they changed Barbara's voice lines. Is there like some big story coming up where they want her to be depressed? That's the only thing I can think of. I didn't even know you could do that, Ninja. Let's be honest though, none of the mats in this game are even close to what it's like trying to farm Void Dust or, you know, Hero Proofs or any of that garbage in FGO. It's so much easier. I mean, I don't think Rosaria is really depressed. She's just, I don't know, serious, I guess.
Well, we're in Wolfendom now. Think Dane's waiting for us up ahead? We should meet up with him quick, in case the wolves decide they don't like him.
Why is there, like, text on that?
Lord of Wolvendom, Great Wolf King of the North.
So I hope she ends up being awesome. I don't know, like, she was in the game so little, I have no opinion of if she's cool or not. Like, literally, how on earth could I have an opinion if she was cool or not? But I hope she's cool, because I've heard that she was data mined to be a 4-star spear user, and I'm like, I have so many spears, I literally have gotten 5 prototype spear drops. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And I have no spear users. So I'm like, if they could add a 4-star spear user that I just like vaguely like, that would be great, right? But I don't know, she might suck, so we'll see.
Sharp of fang and keen of claw, and yet dwelling here only. No, nor does it know me. I only know these things because of previous travelers.
That sounds like PR nonsense because, like, first off, how on earth do you not notice that you're using the wrong voice files, and then the voice files are all lined up perfectly, like the alt one with the alt one, and that kind of thing? Like that sounds ridiculous. How would you not notice that for so long, right? The game was in beta for ages, right, before it was actually properly released. That sounds like total nonsense. And her whole thing is she's an idol and crap, right? So I don't really get it.
All right, let's go see if that Abyss Herald has stopped by here.
Well, where do we begin?
She has a teleport behind enemy skill. Oh boy. I hope they make it where you can like time it really,
Indeed.
you know,
See that?
skillful, like with Vito having a perfect counter and
It's
stuff.
an abyssal spell. Knowing what I do of the Order's habits, they've probably left similar marks behind elsewhere.
I'm sad the wolf didn't show up. Well, my frame rate's fine. I don't know why, but it is. So, most useless addition to the game right here. I just cannot even fathom why these were added. The only thing that makes... all I can think of, it's like, okay, maybe if you're an Omega Whale and you've been playing the game for years and all your characters are geared to the teeth and you just want something to burn AP on. But if the thing is, if you're in a situation that I just described, you don't need ore. Because you only need ore if you're leveling a weapon. And if all your characters are geared to the teeth, you don't need to level a weapon.
There's another one of
Like, I don't understand.
Looks like the Abyss really
I cannot think anyone uses those. You know, outside of the whaliest whale that ever whaled, right? That's like, okay, it's got like a... Because whales get more weapons than us normies, right? Because, they're rolling all the time, so they get 5-star artifact, 5-star weapons pretty often, so they have more weapons to level, and so the ore can really catch up with them. But like, I've leveled every weapon I've needed to for any character I'm using. I've never farmed ore ever, and I'm sitting on like over 1,000 ore right now, and I've never even farmed it, for God's sakes. So it's like, you know, I have absolutely no need for those things. And for those that don't know, the dark blue ore you have to use your AP on to refine, right? So, not great.
Do you think that those monsters by
See ya,
the
Finn.
bonfire are under the Abyss Order's control? Looks kinda scary. Let's beat them up first.
Why is the Abyss... Okay, there we go. He wasn't attacking.
Shouldn't let your guard down.
Why doesn't Child get a fucking plunging attack in his melee form, by the way? Are they just like too lazy to make the animation? Because he's a 5-star, like, come on now.
Let's go check out that bonfire. Looks like this bonfire's also got something to do with the Abyss.
I really, really like Child. He's awesome, like, character-wise. I wish his gameplay was a little different, though. Like, the whole idea of switching stances, they've kind of lost the point of, because you don't really have a reason to switch stances. The melee mode is just better, and you only use the bow mode when you need to, like, knock down a rune guard or something like that, like a puzzle that takes a bow, or if you're forced out of the melee stance. But then you're just going to switch characters. That's not really that fun. Like, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of having it, right? Like, of having a double stance mode. I really wish they did that differently. Like, I wish there were things you could do in the bow mode that would, like, set up the melee mode for success. Like, the melee mode should not even be able to apply the mark, in my opinion. You should only be able to apply the mark from the bow. And then the mark should be a lot more meaningful, so you really want to do it. And you want to switch back and forth. And then you just make the bow better, and things like that. Like, I think it'd be a lot more fun if they did stuff like that. Like, so much more. Trying to find, like, this timing like to maintain your mark and like finding times to go back and forth, and then make it make it easier to go into the melee mode. Don't make the cooldown so long. But I guess they did that because they wanted to incentivize people to get a high constellation. But that doesn't make good gameplay.
Have you finished searching? I searched around these parts and found some signs.
Also, allow us to shoot the fucking whale. Like, are you kidding me? How is the bow ultimate not the whale?
But they were left behind by abyss mages, and there was no deeper abyssal power to them.
I mean, they could have made the constellations make the bow mode stronger, right?
It seems that even an abyss herald would not wish to make trouble with the Wolf King of the North. We should leave as well. If there's anything praiseworthy about that old wolf, it's his territorial nature.
But now we're out of leads. Are we going to have to give up?
No. There is one more place we can go.
So, I'm assuming this Abyss Herald is not in the game yet, and he's going to be added in the next patch. Which makes me think this story is going to stop, like, right before you fight him or something.
Let's get a move on then. I'll wait for you at Storm Terror's lair.
Yeah, I heard it was leaked and it's getting added next patch, so I'm excited. Hopefully he's, I'm hoping he's kind of like a, rune guard, rune seeker, that kind of, like mini or world boss kind of difficulty, right? And has a really good moveset. Because like those T-Rexes they added are like that. Their health is a little low, but their moveset's fun. They're too easy to stagger though, but yeah, here's the thing. Like rune guards I really like because you can't stagger them much. So you have to respect their moveset, especially if you're just trying to not get hit for the fun of it, right? Where the new T-Rex guys, are you fucking really, bro? I am all, you're gonna aggro, okay, fuck this guy. Anyway, the T-Rex guys, you don't really have to respect their moveset because, you can stagger the shit out of them, right? You can stagger them so much that it's, kind of pointless. But rune guards don't have the best moveset in the game by any means, but just the fact that you have to respect the moveset is nice. Just for the fun of it.
Who's next?
What? Can't aim.
Take this!
Okay. There wasn't much point in killing that guy, but we did it anyway. I heard you talking shit, indeed. The shields are not the funnest mechanic though, so I would kind of just like cool abyss like magic attacks and stuff like that. I don't really find the shield mechanic very fun. I feel like it's an arbitrary way to force you to gear up more characters, so you always have an element you need, right? Anybody that's had to kill a Fatui when they didn't have the right element out knows what I'm talking about. It's like, it's not fun. That's not fun. It's just like grinding.
I've heard about what happened to you during Mondstadt's crisis. When you came, this place was known as Storm Terror's lair. But I suppose that this place is more lair than Storm Terror at this point. In fact, if my memory serves, this ruin has had largely nothing to do with that dragon for a long time.
Well, see, Alex, that sounds more like an actual boss, right? That's like what they would do for, like, if you go into an instance and you fight a boss like Child or the world bosses like the flowers and stuff. I don't think he's going to be one of those. Now, if he is, awesome. More of those, the better. But I suspect he's going to be more like the T-Rex guys or the Rune Guard guys or whatever. I mean, who knows? Maybe he is going to be a boss, but I don't think so.
The first time I laid eyes upon the ruins of old Mondstadt, the Dragon of the East had yet to fall, much less come to nest in this place.
Huh? But Paimon remembers that Dvalin first got in trouble hundreds of years ago.
Don't think too much about it. Do you remember the light action?
What? What the fuck? What, it's like, no, don't worry about it. We don't need to talk about that.
If the Abyss Order is interested in this
10
location,
out of 10 storytelling.
then they will not neglect those mechanisms.
Now, I haven't seen his design. I generally Well, I kind of did, but someone sent a picture, but I didn't really look at it. I normally try to wait until it's out. I like seeing that stuff because I like the boss that they just added. I hadn't seen him proper until he was added, and that was cool. I like seeing that stuff, first time when I get in the game.
Let's go see what the situation is at those light actuators.
God, whoever said there was no such thing as a stupid question, no idea what they're talking about.
There are lots of monsters.
Also,
gathered
clearly
here.
never streamed. Yeah, that's, I think it's Yuri Lowenthal. He's a pretty big voice actor.
Steady as stone.
Hath done a lot. Motherfucking stupid bubble bullshit. God damn it, I tried to... Yep. Great. I was trying to shoot it to kill it, but... I'm just over here face tanking.
I must leave no stone unturned.
I suspect that because the game has been fairly successful, they'll probably hire more big name voice actors. Because they have the budget to do so. Although, I guess because he was in the trailers, they must have hired him from the get-go. Because, by the way, look, that's what I'm talking about. Look at that guy. He got knocked too far away, so he comes back at full health. But, really, game? Alright, you know what? They get Excalibur, or Rock Caliber. But yeah, they had to have hired him from the get-go because he was in like the initial trailer or
Someone
something.
needs assistance.
I will say, if you have enemies as part of a mission like this, where you like have to kill all of them to progress it or whatever, then I can kind of understand having more strict leash stuff, just so like something doesn't get lost and you can't kill it to progress. But for just random stuff in the open world, there's no need for that kind of thing. But I still don't like if they like leash to get all their health back and stuff. That's just not fun. Like it just de-incentivizes goofing off and like doing plunging attacks and knocking people off things, and especially if they ever add more physics-based things that you can do, right? You're gonna want more ways to mess around with it. By the way, I really dislike the gameplay of, what's his name, Zhao or whatever, because it basically means we're never going to get double jump, because that would make him pointless if we had double jump. But I think double jump would have been so good for this game, and everyone should have an air attack. And I don't mean a plunge attack, right? You should be able to do an air attack and then do a plunge attack when you're done doing it, right? So that way you can have like the good old-fashioned knock someone up in the air, jump after them, bam, 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 then plunge attack them back down to the ground, and... Again, more physics-based stuff. It's great, right? So the fact that he exists means we're never getting that. Never gonna happen. Which is like a massive fucking waste. Why am I hitting in the shield? What am I doing?
So in the end, we still couldn't find that Abyss Herald.
Yeah, there's any chance a double jump is dead.
I wouldn't call not having to gaze upon such a creature a shame exactly. Still, I do believe that you will come across one eventually.
No, you're right. If it's a really powerful monster, it would be best to go around it.
Bro, we have killed so much nonsense at this point in the game, right? We fought that stupid, like, Void God. We fought Child, for God's sakes. He went all, Shune Thunder mode. We beat Dvalin's ass. We, 30 Rune Guards. Who gives a shit? Like, we don't need to avoid nothing.
How good it would be if all perils one encounters in their journeys.
Dude, there's that one hilly troll for the event, this event, where you have to, do those, fucking chore quests, right? And one of the ones where you like make the picture at night, and you make a flower or a coin or whatever, and then you go out and find the treasure. One of them is in like this abandoned tower, and there's a single hilly troll that's just hanging out in there. You know, he set up shop. He's got his cooking pot. He's got a lot of food. You know, the guy's got to eat. You know, he's got like a painting. He's got his treasure chest. It's his fucking treasure chest, right? And we just come in there and like, yep, I'm gonna just take this loot here, and you know, like we are so full. And then we have the nerve to be like, oh, these hilly trolls and you know, being aggressive to humans. You know, it's like we're over here slaughtering them and stealing their shit, and like how dare they set up camp, right? Like guys, the hilly trolls don't want the rain to get on them, and they set up like tents out in the wild. How dare they? We own the wild. They can't do that. We gotta kill them, right? Like it's fucked up, man. I feel so bad for the hilly trolls. I like, if you could play as them and beat the shit out of everyone else, I would totally do that. You know, and then you recruit the slimes, you know. Your brother in arms here.
Once upon a time, yes. I simply have experience from adventuring together with that traveling companion.
Which is totally our brother.
You know, Dane, you keep talking about that person this and that person that.
You know what? You know, Paimon gets some credit for that one. That gets so stupid in anime and video games. You know, the pronoun game, right? You know, it's like no one talks that way, right? Like no one fucking talks that way, and they always do it to avoid spoilers, or they have their dramatic build up, even if everyone knows, right? They can't just talk like a normal fucking person, right? Yeah, I know. There's that whole series of side quests where she's trying to like understand them and befriend them, and she actually befriends some of them. And if you like do your research, you can do the poetry exchange where you don't aggro them and everything. That's pretty cool. But you know what would be nice is if there have been daily missions that complete, which is I think so cool, right? You've got that what's her name? I fucking forgot her name. The brother's name is Anthony, but I forgot the lady's name. But you know, where she's like really sick, and then you have these daily quests to try to find like random medicines and stuff, and it's like really repetitive, and you think it's just like any other daily. But eventually you do find like medicine and a doctor that does cure her, and then she stops being sick, right? So there's like actual progression there, and they actually have character development, and like, you know, he stops trying to steal money and stuff like that. That's awesome. I hope they do more of that, where they, you know, move things forward and have it matter. Like have that one chick become a knight eventually, right? And then like have us actually befriend at least a tribe of hilly trolls. You don't have to make all hilly trolls friendly, because then you're gonna have problems with like the material drops or whatever. Or you can make all the standard hilly trolls in Mondstadt friendly, but then you bring in a new tribe that's like super warlike, and that replaces them on the map. But then you have like some camps here and there where you have the old ones that are friendly. You know, why not? Like, that'd be cool. God, I fucking love this music, man. Mech Commander. Good stuff.
Where are they now, anyway?
She'll become a knight before Noelle, apparently. By the way, I don't think Noelle is ever going to become a knight, because her profile is all about her not being a knight. And so if she ever became a knight, her profile wouldn't make any sense anymore. And it's not like they're going to have you unlock a second profile. Not that nothing wrong with that, but they won't, because video games are, you know, lazy a lot of the time, so.
No longer travels.
Yeah, I've seen that, where some people think those hilly trolls used to be humans or something.
I'm afraid that traveling can be too exhausting at times.
I actually really like some of the hilly trolls. If you read like some of their bestiary like entries and stuff, I hate that every time I click off screen it fucking closes Genshin, dude. Anyway, if you read some of that stuff, you know, they like don't believe in gods and you know, all that stuff. It's pretty interesting, right? So I'd like to see more hilly troll stuff. I always like when you play like in Guild Wars. I remember there was like that race, like the lion race or whatever, that like, you know, they literally killed their own gods, and they were all about like, you know, survive on your own, you know, rely on yourself, that kind of thing. I always like when you have like races or nations or whatever like that in games like this. So yeah, hilly trolls are pretty awesome.
I still have some things left unfinished. Once they are done, I too will return home to rest.
Yeah, I know. I like how they confirmed that the Hilly Trolls do that, and then everyone was like, shit, now you're making me feel bad.
Hey, once you find your sibling, we should find a place to stay too, shouldn't we? Mondstadt's Fisherman's Toast is pretty tasty, but Liyue's Wanmin restaurant is great too. Either way, we should settle down in a place where there's good food.
Home. Well, it won't be too late to think about where you stay once your journey reaches its end.
So what is, okay, I've talked about this before, and I'm really worried about this, and I think this is a super legitimate concern. I'm really seeing this in Genshin with the main story. What they like to do is when they're not ready to release an actual meaty, you know, chunk of the story, they do like filler main story, right? And that's like kind of okay when you play it as it releases. It's going to be so bad when someone gets into Genshin Impact a year from now, right? And they get to all these stories that are just nothing burgers. And it's like, get on with it, right? Like this is not good main story. This is hyping up main story that's to come. Nothing's happening. Literally nothing is happening, and we're not fighting any bosses. We're not being introduced to any new enemy types. It's just basically them being like, hey, something cool with this is going to happen later, right? And then so when you're playing through the game like all more at once, you know, one thing to one thing, this kind of stuff stands out like a sore thumb, and it's filler, right? It's not good, and they're adding a lot of stuff like this, and it kind of concerns me.
While you're still traveling, you should...
If I really stand by this, if you're not going to add anything substantial, don't add it, right? When it comes to story, it's fine to add an event or a side quest that's just for fun, right? You know, they add like the gliding event, you know, that was kind of just whatever. That's fine, no big deal. But when it comes to your main story, don't fucking bother unless it's substantial and it feels good. You want it to feel meaty. You don't want to be like, oh, hey, look, and we fought Hilly Trolls again, right? If you're not going to add new trash mobs that fit the setting, if you're not going to add a new boss, if you're not going to, you know, if you're not going to do that stuff, wait until you, because a lot of times what happens is the art team isn't ready yet, right? They haven't made the assets yet, so they do filler stuff. But it's better to wait until your art team or your rigging or your modeling, all that stuff, until that stuff is ready and good to go. You know, don't put out new main story, right? Take your time and make it good, make it meaty, right? And by all means, do filler stuff to hold the player base over, but don't make it main story, for God's sakes, right? You know, do things like the gliding event, you know, and if you have like a trash mob that's like ready ahead of schedule, you know, maybe introduce the new trash mob into the world just because. You can do stuff like that, that's fine. But, yeah. I wonder how long it's going to take for us to get to that, the Japanese zone. I want to get to it soon, just so we can get to the zone after it. The zone after it, because FGO does such a bad job with, you know, Arabian stuff and Egyptian stuff. Well, I guess they do kind of okay with Egyptian stuff, but they do really bad with Arabian stuff and things like that. I'm hopeful that Genshin will do a better job, and that could be cool, because that stuff just doesn't ever get much focus in video games, and it's kind of a shame. So I hope Genshin does good with it. I'll say though, I'm not happy with how they handled Mondstadt, which is funny because I like Mondstadt a lot more than literally any other area in the game. But you know, Mondstadt is blatantly based on Germany. So I've seen people try to say it's not, to explain like some of the problems with it. Like, oh, it's not based on Germany. It's absolutely based on Germany. Mondstadt is a fucking German word, for God's sakes. The architecture for like the main building is German. You know, there's a lot of characters that are like just clearly, you know, based on Germany. The problem is the effort put into Mondstadt is so much less than like Liyue. It's not even close. It's not even close. So much of the architecture in Liyue and stuff is based on, you know, Chinese stuff. And, you know, all the characters are named after Chinese things, and there's way more content there, and the zone is much larger, and where Mondstadt barely got it, it got a building. Maybe two. I guess you could say maybe two of the buildings are based on German architecture, and it's a much smaller city. There's just way less stuff from the story and stuff is actually pulling from like German legends and history or any even references, right? They did way less with the German angle than they did with the Chinese angle. And that's lame. And I get it's a Chinese developer, but then I always say this, if you're a Chinese developer and you want everything to be Chinese and all Chinese aesthetic, that's fine, no problem. That's reasonable. But don't be like, yeah, we'll make a zone and each zone's based on a different region in real life. Don't do that. If you want to be really biased to Chinese stuff, don't make your game setting like that. Don't fucking do that, right? That doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna do Germany justice, right? If you're gonna do Japan justice. If you're gonna base things off, Egypt, do Egypt justice. Don't be so blatant with your biasm, right? It's no one's gonna care if you're a Chinese developer and everything in your game is Chinese. No one's gonna care. That's totally fine. But when you literally make a zone that's heavily influenced by regions and countries and nations in real life, and then only the Chinese one is really fleshed out, it's like, come on. Like, I mean, come on. And even if every other zone is fleshed out, that makes it worse for Germany, right? That makes it worse. If literally every single zone is really fleshed out and, pulls from what they're based on, and then Mondstadt is just the only one that doesn't, that just sucks. I mean, come on, that just sucks.
Huh? What's familiar?
I'm guessing that's our brother, right?
It could be someone you know well, or perhaps a monster. Whichever it is, we should see it for ourselves, and thus see clearly. We can reach the top of that cliff from...
I never liked it to begin with. I like Mondstadt. I really I wanted to explore every inch of Mondstadt, right? I found it very fun to do so. I liked the environment and all that. I did not want to explore Liwei or Liwa, whatever the fuck it's called. It's designed well. Some of the puzzles and like kind of the open world, like little areas to explore are well made. I just don't like the aesthetic. It's not to my liking, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be to my liking. But the fact that look at this. It's this area. It's so much of the goddamn map where Mondstadt is this. This is it, right? So it's kind of unfortunate.
We're nearby to catch up.
I don't think it's too big to enjoy. You can kind of just take it one step at a time. What I did was I kind of just, I handled this area first, and then you go to this area, and then, I just took my time. I was in no rush. I was not like, oh man, everyone else is getting max stam. I gotta get max stam right away. I gotta get the main. I didn't give a fuck. I just took my time and. But I will say I procrastinated a lot with exploring out there because I just didn't enjoy it as much. Where Mondstadt, I was like, yeah, give me more. I wanted to check out Mondstadt more. So I'm really looking forward to. What's Snaznaya or whatever, the Russian-based area. I'm really looking forward to that one. That one and the, we don't know that much about the third one, but it's probably Egyptian or Arabian or something. We'll see what they do. Some people think it's going to be Indian. We'll see. But those things do not get focused on much, so I'm curious to see what we get.
Can you still sense that familiar feeling that you spoke of?
Dragonspire was all right. It was just a lot less fleshed out than literally everything else because it's kind of tacked on. I felt like, but who doesn't like snow areas? I mean, come on, who does not like snow areas, right? So it was fine. I wish it had new trash mobs instead of just reskins. I thought that was kind of a waste. If there was like riddled with bosses and more challenge, I think I would have liked it. They tried to give it this like harsh environment and they tried to make it. All of that, but then it was just a lot of reskins of easy mobs you could beat the shit out of, so that didn't really work for me. But I like the idea of it. Snow's cool. The puzzles were fine. Maybe make them a little harder, but it was fine. No problem. But it was, it's small. But yeah, Dragon's Spine was fine. I liked it. I liked it more than Liwa or Liwei or whatever.
But it doesn't feel like there's anything around here. No monsters. No people? Nothing.
Indeed. There doesn't seem to be anything strange about this place. It doesn't look any different from the last time I was here. My traveling companion brought me here on our previous journey.
It's obviously our brother, oh my god.
So, Dane, what about you?
So chat, yes or no, do you think at like some point you're going to be able to have both travelers in the party? I really hope so, because I always wished I had, I actually picked the male one, but then this account was just sort of like a side account that I was just messing around with, and I ended up getting D-Luke, so, but yeah, I really wished I could get the male guy back. Everyone says no. Feels bad, man. I do think we're gonna fight our sibling. It might not be for a long time, Might even be like the final boss of like the first leg of the game or something. But at some point, we are fighting our sibling. That is going to be a boss battle, the health bar, and like, abso-fucking-lutely. I don't think they're going to be antagonistic to us forever, though, but everyone's saying they think they're going to die. I could see that. But yeah, I wish you could get them so I could go back to being the male one. And it'd just be cool. It'd be cool to have, and it could be fun because eventually you're gonna have like all 7 elements and everything, and having 2 characters that can do that, I'd be awesome. I mean, like, I don't, literally, why not? Like, it wouldn't hurt anything. Like, if you prefer one or the other, who cares? You don't have to use them, and like, it just seems like a positive thing to do. But they're never gonna add Galahad, you know, like a mirror to Mash, right? If they ever add Galahad, they'd make him different, like a Lancer or whatever. They're not gonna have like, oh yeah, you have these 2 4-star shielders that both have no team cost, and you know, you can use either Galahad or Mash if you want to. They're not gonna do that because, I don't know, people get insulted, like, but my waifu, right? It's always that kind of bullshit.
Me? I no longer remember. I merely followed that person around on that journey. That's all there was to it. Huh? A ruin guard's footprint. A ruin guard was wandering around here?
I mean, we literally killed a run guard, like, before we started this quest.
Even for a single dandelion.
Oh, right, because he, like, hangs out with a run guard. Right? He like, he's on the shoulder of a run guard all the time or whatever. I don't even mind the female main character. It's just, seeing them all the time in the cutscene and stuff, I'm just like, God, I wish it was the dude instead. But I don't really hype either of them. There's something wrong with both of them. I gotta say, the male's haircut kind of looks like a tool, and then the female's clothing is just dumb. It just, I don't know, his clothing's kind of dumb too, but I think her clothing is dumber. It just looks weird. It's like, what the fuck is that, right? So they're both kind of nerds. Yeah, this is definitely referencing the trailer. Yeah, I saw that. Really, you should just play the trailer, for God's sakes. Mana Prism! No, male is faster. That's another reason. I like the male slightly more, and he's better. His dodge is better, and his run is better. I've heard her swimming is better, but the fuck? Like, who cares about that?
Huh? You mean your brother? But how could that be? You only touched that dandelion for a second.
Perhaps that dandelion bears some sort of scent that only you recognize. As for why, has it perhaps experienced something?
Faster attack animation? That's alright, I suppose, but I mean, you mostly use your skill, I guess.
You're saying some real confusing stuff. Paimon doesn't get it at all.
Do not rush. Vexation and anxiety are the enemy of rational thought. Your journey has only just begun, has it not?
That's one of the few logical things anyone has ever said. And wait, what? Okay, it started good, but what? We've gone through 2 regions, you know, again, fought all these bosses. Your journey's just begun. They're out of their minds. That's like, you know, Lord of the Rings, when like after, like if you're like right after the 2 towers, you're like, our journey has just begun. It's one thing to say there's still much to do, right? Or whatever, but like objectively, this is not just beginning. It doesn't matter if it's 2/7 of the way done. There's a difference between like being a lot to go versus not having done much yet. Those are 2 very different things, right? This is not beginning, right, at all.
At least you now know that he is still on this world.
I feel like this is supposed to happen before you leave Mondstadt. I don't think you can even do this before you leave Mondstadt.
At this time, the most important thing is the journey to find him itself.
No, it's not. I take everything back. You're an illogical moron. That is Can you fucking imagine? Okay, like people here that have like a good relationship with their parents, right? I know not everyone has a good relationship with their parents, but for those of you that have a good relationship with your parent, right? Imagine like there's like a zombie apocalypse or a flood or an invasion or whatever, and you get separated from your parent, right? But you're pretty sure they're still alive at least, right? So obviously you're really gonna wanna, you know, find your parent again, right? This is a big problem. Imagine some dumb fuck comes along and like, no. It's important is not reuniting with your parents. What's important is the journey of finding, like, shut the fuck up, you moron, right? That there is a time and a place for the real friend we made along the way was blah, 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 right? But this ain't it, champ, right? Not even a little bit, right? You know, this is a very tangible, real, relatable problem this character has. You know, they have a sibling that they got along with very well, and they got separated, and that's bad. And then you say some stupid crap. Like, imagine you meet a mother, right? Like in like a city square, right? And they somehow they've been separated from like their child, right? And they're like freaking out, you know. And then you come along and all your wisdom, and you're like, madam, what's important is not finding your child. It is just slap right in the face. Like, fucking Christ. I can't even believe they had him say that. That was such a stupid fucking line. That is so unapplicable, right? If we were like making a band of merry men to go search for treasure on the high sea, okay, then you get to say that, Einstein, right? Okay, then it's, you know, or if we're like, you know, trying to collect, you know, tapestries or some stupid shit, right? Or if it's like, if you're like in school, you're in high school and you're your club activity, you know, someone, okay, sure, this is not any of that. We are looking for our fucking brother. What is wrong with these people? And what is wrong with us? Why are we partaking in a fucking festival about lanterns, for God's sakes, instead of looking for our brother? Like, what is wrong with these people? Just, it's almost like the content for the main story is not ready yet, and this is filler. It's almost like that's what's going on. Pretty lights, indeed.
Yes, and this is something you must keep in mind as the meaning behind your journey.
Yeah, but see, we don't know that they're avoiding us, right? Like, they're all like, the time's not ready yet, because like they've seen some shit that we haven't seen. I think what's probably going to happen is like, why we got like time warped. They were like doing stuff that whole time, and they probably saw some shit, and they're like, oh god, we need to deal with this thing, this super bad thing that's coming down the pipeline or whatever, you know, some nonsense like that, right? And that's why they're like acting really different than they did in the original cutscene, right? But we don't know that. It's not like we ran into them and our brother slapped us across the face and was like, I don't want to see you again. And then now we're like, oh, I don't want to see my brother again then, right? That didn't happen. You know, literally, all we know is we're hanging out, being Voyager and Girlager. That didn't really work, but, you know, we're just doing, you know, space things, and we run into some bitch in the stars that's like, bam, rare prism. And that's all we got. And now we're like, oh yeah, but these lanterns though, right? Like, it don't make no sense.
May you find your kin at the end of that journey.
Good old Paimon. Thank you for the bits though,
Let us
boy.
part ways here for now.
The devs didn't have time to yeah, I know. That Lost knows what's up.
Huh? You're leaving? Already?
Only for now. Don't worry. We will meet again.
So, something definitely is up with Paimon though. I mean, she's all space themed, and I know maybe she's the sister to the wait. I really think it's like two things, right? Maybe three things. So I think she's either related to the god, or I guess goddess, or whatever the fuck at the start, right? Or is that person, right? Or it is like, you know, the antagonist of that thing is the opposite of that thing, right? Like, surely they're related because they both kind of have the spacey, you know, bullshit. It's obviously going to be something like that, right? Oh yeah, that's right. Paimon literally is one of Guadia's, like the whole demon god things. It really is one of those. Speaking of which, I can't remember. Do we know anything about the god at the start? Did they have any kind of reference to the Guadia stuff? I hope they do more with that though than just like, because some things, like for example, Gundam Seed has 3 characters and their antagonists that are all named after the Guadia stuff to a degree, right? But there's no meaning behind it. It's just like it's just a reference, right? And that kind of works there because it's not like everything in that Gundam show is a Guadia reference. It's not. It's just those 3 guys. That's it. But in this, it's a bit more impactful than that, right? Some of the references, I think, are a bit more, you know, like so many impactful things have been named after the Guadia stuff. That hopefully they're not just pulling a Gundam Seed. Or like, oh yeah, this is a cool thing, we'll just use it to, you gotta get our names from somewhere. Who wants to make up names when you can just, you know, copy things from real mythology and whatnot, right? I hope it's not that, and I hope there's like, and fuck Fate. It's nothing to do with Fate, right? I don't care. You know, I mean, I like Fate, obviously, but like that's not why. I don't need a parallel to F-Go here. It's just, if you're gonna reference all that Demon Guadia stuff, I hope they do more with it, right? So if it's just like, lol, we needed something, we needed a naming scheme, so we just did this. I think that'd be pretty disappointing. So why was that a quest? This is what I'm talking about. That's gonna feel so out of place when you play it. If you play the game a year from now, that was just. That could have been good if like it tied into anything, right? Like if they had a new boss that they could show off in this, I mean, you know, or if it led into like whatever is coming with the Abyss Herald, if this actually led into that instead of not doing that and then the next thing leading into that, right? It just, that felt so filler. That felt so filler, and it's gonna look really stupid in hindsight. I like how they don't even, they've literally said Barbatos and Barbados. I don't care which way they pronounce it. I really don't care for people to get all anal about pronunciation, especially because in the history of these things, their pronunciation changed all the time. Like all of the time. In their own periods, the way people pronounce things would just change based on the city you're from or you know, the time period. It's super normal, right? So I don't care if they're gonna say Barbados or Barbados. Don't care. I just find it weird that they literally keep saying it different ways, and that's probably not the voice actor's fault. It's normally the voice director's fault because they're not giving them consistent stuff to say. So yeah, I wish they'd kind of sort that out. I don't know who this is. I don't recognize this NPC, but they want apples apparently. I like how they want apples, and their attire is like kind of apple themed. I think it's probably just coincidence, but that's kind of funny. I got, oh my god, she gave me 1337 gold. We elite. Yeah, I actually agree. Some of the backbone to the story is pretty cool, and you know, trying to find your sibling is fairly compelling, and oh, apparently not, but you know, so yeah, I want to see more of the main story. I want to see more of like the characters like Child and everything, you know, I want more of that. They're just going really slow, and here's the thing, that's fine. I don't care if it takes them some time to do the main stories. My main thing is stop doing filler main story. If you can't put up main story, take your time, just do side missions, do silly events, where that's fine, right? But when you do put out main story, make sure it's, you know, got some meat on it. Don't waste your time. Yeah, and also, I think a really good way, I really want like what chat feels about this. I think a really cool thing they could do in the filler is do more like proper world building, right? Like expand on the Hilly Trolls culture. You know, some of the stuff you see in the books and stuff, put it in the game. You know, show don't tell. You know, more stuff like that. You know, expand on some of the things that aren't necessarily tied to the main story, or and maybe if they are, eventually you can be like, oh, but look, we got the world building set up for this in advance, right? So more of that, I think, is a really good way to do filler. If you gotta buy time and you can't do the main story, flush out your factions and your side characters and your trash mobs, and you know, do that, right? Yeah, more of that I think would be a much better way to kill time. So, but I'm in no hurry when it comes to like the amount of I'm not impatient, right? This game has given us so much free to play content just in the base game, right? For free, literally for free. Then I'm like, it's, you know, by all means take your time, no big deal. If anything, I'd actually rather they take more time, so it's a higher quality, right? I don't want it to be subpar because they try to pump it out in 6 months instead of a year or whatever. But that's why I want them to give us better replayable content. You know, have things, better challenge modes, more boss fights that are just there for the fun of the boss fight. You know, more things to make your own fun while you're waiting for them to do the big stuff. The better, right? And obviously I can just go play other games and come back to Genshin when they put out new stuff. I truly don't want them to rush, right? I don't want them to like put out a big fancy boss fight that they should have taken a month to make and they made it in 2 weeks instead. You know, I don't want that. You know, I want, you know, proper experiences and I can wait. But I guess for monetary reasons and because people have the attention span of a moth, you know, a lot of times they have to rush those kinds of things. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people. I've seen mixed stuff though. I've seen people say they don't want the dungeons to be more like proper dungeons because they'd be like, oh, it'll be more repetitive then. But I don't agree. I want the dungeons to be better. And what you can do, and this is what a lot of MMOs will do, is you don't make people do a specific dungeon if they don't want to, or you make it almost like seasonal. So if people get like, so okay, right now, for example, let's say if you needed to go farm your lightning gear, if you had to go do like a whole proper dungeon with like maybe mini puzzles or jumping puzzles or an actual boss fight or whatever, that's fine for a while, but then maybe you don't want to do that in the long run if you've done it a bunch of times. Like even if it was really hard initially, you know, like, oh yeah, once you've mastered it, you want to do something else, you can just make it where you can get like that gear somewhere else if you want to, you know, or you add a new dungeon. Okay, when we go to the lightning zone, there's a new lightning dungeon that you can get the same loot from, but it's a different dungeon, and it's a new boss, and it's new puzzles or whatever, right? I think that would be really nice, and a lot of MMOs do stuff like that, and I think that would be fine. But yeah, the dungeons just being like horde waves, it's kind of dumb, right? And that's just going to get as repetitive as anything else. So, but I have seen people that say they don't want proper dungeons, but I strongly disagree. And again, you can always do what I say in FGO is you can give people more than one way to farm things. Right? If you want to do the more monotonous, grindy, you know, boring crap, you can do that. But then if you want to... And a great way to do this is AP ratios, right? You can make it so if you do this place to get like lightning gear, you know, it's quick. It doesn't take very long to do this. But maybe you give someone another way. We have like a more involved thing that takes a lot more time. So the time to drop ratio is worse, but the AP cost is lower, right? I think that's a totally good way to give people options, and then you know, people don't really like. I don't want to take the time to do the other dungeon, right? And you can twink the loot a little bit, where maybe one's more likely to give this thing, or the other one's more likely to give that thing, or whatever. But that's a really good way to deal with that kind of stuff. Anyways, I think we'll wrap up there. It's super late. Just kind of, you know, just hanging out and doing some Genshin, but that was fun. I enjoyed it. Probably play FGO tomorrow though. The only reason I didn't play it today was because I kind of fell behind and I, you know, cut my hand and all that. But we'll do FGO tomorrow. But hopefully, wait, I forgot. Did they say when the next big patch for Genshin is? Because whenever that is, I'll obviously play Genshin and you know, check it out. But did anyone know if they gave a date on that, or do we not know yet? Don't know why I'm murdering hilly trolls right now. No date yet? Okay, I guess we'll just have to see then. Next week? Oh, Jesus. I thought we were going to have to wait longer than that. But if it's that soon, I won't complain. Big patches every 6 weeks. It's not too bad. Anyway, lads, you all have a good one. I will see you later. Peace!